And welcome you on into another episode of the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Mitch Spinell along with Mitchell Balla here to give you the latest in the sporting world as we are now on our last episode before we officially reach the Christmas holiday or wherever you celebrate out there. Mitch, it's good to be back here talking sports, and we have a special show here today.
We sure do. We got some big news that we woke up to this morning that we're going to cover on the show. Special guest coming in the show, and it is the last show before Christmas.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So close to opening gifts.
Absolutely. And before we get into that, reminding you guys of all the places you can find us here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Also, we're on BigTimeSportsOhio.com. You can also find us on Twitter at BTS Ohio, Big Time Sports Ohio on Twitter and on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, at Mitch Spinell, at Mitchell Balla, pretty much everywhere we're at. So, Mitch, we start off now in the baseball world, which is unusual for us because it's especially with the offseason going on right now. But the offseason got its head spun, or it got turned upside down a little bit because of what happened very late last night. So we talked about this last week where Carlos Correa and the San Francisco Giants agreed to a 12-year, $350 million contract for 13 years, excuse me. That's not happening anymore because after apparently a physical issue, the Mets the New York Mets have swept in and have given the 28-year-old shortstop a 12-year, $315 million deal. So not quite the money that he would have gotten with San Francisco and not as much, and just 1 year off, but still one of the most massive deals still of this offseason. And it really is surprising because of the way that this seemed like a done deal. San Francisco, to me, and maybe a lot of other people, kind of overpaid, but they needed to get a guy like Correa, a superstar, in there after not being able to convert on Aaron Judge. Now you don't have that. Now the Mets have come in and they've added Correa to an infield that already includes Francisco Lindor. And Mitch, like, where is your take on the Giants with this? Is this just a complete disaster for the team, or is it a kind of an avoidance of spending too much, investing too much for the long term?
Well, I just want to first say that the old tale is true. You can't believe everything you read on the internet, because right now, as we're doing this, I'm looking and it says Carlos Correa's current team for baseball is the San Francisco Giants. No longer true. Giants fans, if there are any out there that watch this podcast, and if not, welcome to the show if this finds you. I think you dodged a major bullet, because I was on this show, Mitch, and I told you I thought this was a bad deal. 13 years would have taken Correa up until he was 40 to 41 years old. He would not have, more than likely, not have played that entire contract out with the Giants, let alone had the production that he's had from his early career up until now, which is he's now 28. It sucks because you had Aaron Judge for 7 minutes, I think, and then you had Carlos Correa for 6 days. Aaron Judge one hurts, I'm not going to lie. Carlos Correa, though, I think he dodged a major bullet, Mitch, because I think the thing that people are not paying attention to here is not that the San Francisco Giants did not sign Carlos Correa. It's why they did not sign Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa, and this was from Buster Olney this morning on ESPN radio, which I was listening to. Carlos Correa last year was receiving around-the-clock treatment when he was with the Minnesota Twins on a back issue. Mitch, he's 28. Unless he is the one-in-a-lifetime Benjamin Button who ages backwards, he's only going to get older. And he's an athlete, which means it's going to be hard to really take care of a back injury when you're playing every day in games that matter from the end of March all the way through the end of September and hopefully into October. And so what the Giants staff said was that was not sustainable. They could not take care of his back around the clock for 13 straight years, let alone would he be able to play 13 years. And when you're going to give a player that type of money, $350 million, a team that is not known for spending that type of money in the San Francisco Giants, you're going to be careful. And you have a medical staff for a reason. You generally go to them, and this is why all deals say pending a physical. Carlos Correa failed his physical.
Yeah.
That's what people understand. It's not that the Giants balked on this move. Carlos Correa couldn't hold up his end of the bargain of passing a physical that would have made him a Giant and made him the highest paid shortstop in all of baseball. And here's what's fascinating is Steve Cohen, the richest owner in baseball, who owns the Mets, and has told everybody since he's taken over, he is going to spend money to put a world champion team on the field and, in New York. did not say this was pending a physical. He went to the New York Post and said they were signing Carlos Correa. That is a huge red flag, in my opinion, Mitch, because instead of signing a player for a 12-year contract, which will still take him up to 39 to 40 now,
Yep,
that has health issues, you're just signing him because of his name. Now, I'm not saying he's not a good player, right? We know he is a talented player. He's an all-star. He was rookie of the year when he came up.
and name and accomplishments.
Right. And the thing is, you're signing a player that just failed a physical. You're signing a player that you just found out had to have around-the-clock treatment last year, and he's not even going to play his primary position. He's going to be playing third base for the New York Mets, or so they say. I mean, I doubt they're going to move.
It's expected to be for him to go to third. Yeah.
As of now, as it stands after the news broke early this morning, it's expected he's going to be third baseman. They're not going to move Lindor.
No.
This, to me, Mitch, could be a Bobby Bonilla type deal 2.0. And I am not wishing that. Let me be clear. I am not wishing that on Carlos Correa. But the fact that you just had another team who was willing to pay, $35 million more to sign him, back out because he couldn't pass a physical, and you come in without making him pass a physical to sign him, is very worrisome to me. And this isn't, we see guys all the time, Mitch. Sometimes when the injuries start, and this is across all sports, when injuries start, they don't necessarily ever stop. And when you're talking about a back issue, something you use every time you swing the bat, something you use every time you move and bend down or dive laterally for a ground ball at shortstop or now third base, this is something that's going to affect him. Now, I'm sure $315 million makes him feel a lot better at the time. I'm sure it would make me feel a lot better. I like the move. I don't love the move. I think the Giants fans that are sad right now, in a few years, maybe 5 years, which I know is a while away, might be looking back at this and said, wow, we did dodge a major bullet because Carlos Correa can't even play half a season right now because of his back injury. That's just something to keep an eye on. I think all I know is this is a move the Mets made. They now have the highest payroll in baseball. Cohen now has $111 million in luxury tax he owns, which is the record now across baseball. Their payroll is expected to be $495 million, $500 million. And the previous high for the highest payroll of baseball was $380 million. Not even the New York Yankees, who everybody knows in baseball to be the big spenders, have ever done anything like this. They got they went out and got Verlander. They now have Correa. They signed, I can't believe his name's leaving me right now, that was from Japan for a 5-year deal. I think it was 5 years, $72 million. Nimmo's back. I mean, the Mets went all
Senga.
The Mets went all. And really, Mitch, the name of the game in baseball is pitching. They have about a 2-year window because Verlander signed for 2 years and he'll be in his 40s, and Scherzer is signed for 2 more years. And after that, who on earth are they going to have to bring up and pitch? Because you can, but you just realistically cannot go out and sign every single free agent every year, because eventually, no matter how rich you are, you're going to go broke over owning a Major League Baseball team.
They also signed Jose Quintana as part of their pitching offseason pickups. And I'm happy you brought up that thing with the payroll, because now the Mets, as you mentioned, it's just under $500 million. No team in baseball history has come within $150 million of that number. So now the Mets have become the big market bullies. And I'm happy that you reiterated it's more so this deal that I don't think Giants fans should be panicking over. Yes, it stinks that you don't get this huge signing of a very potentially very good player, but I think the Judge one was worse, mainly because there was the possibility that you could get him. The Correa one was unexpected because the Giants just gave him the world. The Judge one, you thought you could get him. You thought you could get your hometown guy. You thought you could get him for, according to the team, they were willing to spend however much it would take. They were not going to be outbid. And eventually, I guess in this case, they weren't, I guess, in this case, because the Yankees case was not as much money. I know it was less than the Padres, probably the Giants as well. And that's another thing too. Judge became the captain today for the New York Yankees, 16th in history. But I'm not as harsh on this turn of events, because if a physical says, hey, there's serious concerns as to whether or not you're willing to give this much money, that's to me, that's understandable. We've never even had a deal like this where in Major League Baseball, where such a massive contract has been voided because of a physical issue. The one of the only case I can think of, and this is per Jeff Passan's ESPN article, was Grant Balfour, who was signed with the Baltimore Orioles for 2 years and $15 million. And then he failed the physical. Then he went back to the Rays for 2 years and $12 million. So it's like, okay, whatever. This is different, obviously, but I don't think Giants fans should taking it too hard as they might be today, because on the headlines you might think, oh, you were willing to give this much money to a guy that you weren't even sure if he was healthy or not. And it's like, that's the process for every major league team pretty much, except for the Mets, who decided not to go through with the physical because they had already just had one in San Francisco. And Steve Cohen just saying, look, I'm making a bold move. I'm making a bold move because the time to win with this core is now. And it absolutely is.
It absolutely is, because as you get older in baseball, obviously there are a few anomalies, Justin Verlander being one of them. As you get older in baseball, your production typically goes down. And Mitch, I have it pulled up here with the Correa deal now. The Mets have now committed more than $800 million to free agents this offseason alone.
Yeah.
And their competitive balance tax payroll is projected to be approximately $384 million, which is the fourth and final threshold of the luxury tax, commonly referred to as the Steve Cohen tax. So, I mean, you just look at this. They've went out this year. They've already got Brandon Nimmo and Edwin Diaz on 9-figure contracts. They signed Justin Verlander, Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, relievers Adam Ottavino and David Robertson, and catcher Omar Narvaez. And they still have the likes of Francisco Lindor and Max Scherzer. This is a team that, if they don't win a World Series, let alone, Mitch, at this point, if they don't win their damn division, because what did we see last year? We saw a collapse. We saw a collapse by them with two teams getting hot at the right time. They make the wild card after having a 10-game lead in August and get knocked out of the first round at home in Citi Field. I mean, I will never root for New York teams. I won't. It's just not in my blood. Maybe it's because we have an owner who doesn't spend money here in Cleveland. But the only other times, Mitch, you ever see, I know you pointed to Balfour. The only other times you see pending physicals that are failed are generally when you're talking about very old players that are looking for a 1-year contract just to latch on somewhere. To my knowledge, I believe Grady Sizemore was one, if I'm not mistaken, with the Boston Red Sox, maybe. But that was after we had given him so many chances. He kept getting hurt. You see it typically, but when it comes to big name free agents like this, you don't see it often. But now you know out there as a viewer and listener, this is why when a player and a team are in agreement, it always says pending physical. Because now the Mets, who have already committed to it without the physical, they might be in a world of hurt here in a few years down the road if Correa is not kept healthy enough or this back issue lingers all the way.
Indeed. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back here, we'll be going more into some other aspects of the sporting world, including our pick'ems for this coming week. Stay with us. Hey there, folks. This is Mitch Spinell, and I want to give you guys a quick message regarding 988. If you don't know what 988 is, it was created to make it easier to remember how to get help in the event of a mental health or addiction crisis. This is different than a medical, fire, or police emergency where 911 should still be called immediately. 988 connects you with Stark County's Crisis Center, which is equipped to help people in emotional distress or experiencing a mental health or addiction crisis. So remember, 911 for medical, fire, and police emergency help, and 988 for support in overcoming a mental health crisis in Stark County.
Buying a home has never been so affordable with record low interest rates. Hartzler's Quality Housing is ready to put over 40 years of experience to work for you. Family owned and operated since 1978, Hartzler's has a wide selection of model homes on site with a knowledgeable team to help make your new home a reality. Open 6 days a week, visit them off I-77 in Dover or online at hartzlers.com. Hartzler's Quality Housing. Quality from start to finish.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, Think Ferris.
You invest a lot in your home and vehicle purchases. Van Nostrand Young and Associates want you to feel secure should anything happen to those investments. We partnered with providers like Grange Insurance and other industry leaders to be sure you're presented with the most complete coverage to fit your needs. Because we're not only here to protect the items you invest in, we're here to protect your future as well.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-497-1867.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
And we welcome you back to the Big Time Sports podcast show. And now it is time for a special segment. We now bring in a guest who is one of the top players for the Spire Institute up in Cleveland here. It is Donovan Hunter. Donovan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, man. So Spire Institute, one of the most unique programs out there in Ohio. I mean, you guys have had players in the past like LaMelo Ball go through the program. Now you guys are throughout this season working your way up, trying to build not only yourselves, but individually, but also your guys as a team. You know, where you guys are at this point in the season, I mean, where do you think you are in terms of where you guys started the season compared to where you guys have progressed to now?
I think at the beginning of the season, we had no connection at all. Like none of us had ever played with each other because we were all from across the country. So it was just a disconnect. And then as the season went on, we just started to play more and more together and trusting each other more. Really, that's what it came down to. So just the more trust we built and everything, Coach Craig pushing to us, everything like that, it helped us to become a good team, basically.
Now, Donovan, you just mentioned, guys across the country. And so you were originally from the Columbus area. You went to Westerville Central, down there in Columbus. And looking at the roster here, you're not kidding. Guys I see here from across the border in Canada, North Carolina, Texas, Georgia. Just talk about the dynamic of going from high school where you've played with guys that you've grown up with pretty much your entire life to now traveling significant away from home and playing with guys that you've never met before until you guys really, show up on the campus of Spire.
Mm-hmm. Well, high school is different. It's like we know, like you said, we know each other since middle school, played together since middle school. So it's like that trust is already built. It's almost like it's easier. It's easier because it's like we already know each other. We've been together. We know what we do best. We know what we can't do good. So it's like what we know what we need to work on also. And then traveling, I feel like it is also a plus traveling with this team too, because it's like in college, when I go to college, you gotta learn this on the go because you don't know these dudes either. It's just almost the same thing. So it's like, I feel like, dang, I keep forgetting the question. I'm not gonna lie. I keep forgetting the question.
Just how difficult it is to come to a place with no familiarity with the players and just, having to learn so quickly. And like you mentioned, they're from across the country. I was looking at the states, down south, out east, or up from Canada. Just how difficult is it to get there the first day and try to get to know each other and play team basketball to win games?
All right, yeah. So it's almost like you got to force yourself on the people because it's like you have to do it. Like at high school, you don't even have to talk to certain people and you just know them just because you've known them for a while. But like when you first get here, you have to force yourself on the people, let them get to know you on that day, so it can just become an easier flow throughout the whole year. And just so it's not a disconnect between you and a group of people or you and a certain individual.
For sure. And Donovan, you kind of touched on that familiarity with certain players involving certain schools. You might have I'm not sure if you might have had a case with that formerly at Westerville South. You were on as a sophomore, you guys were on the team that went to state, averaged double figures as a junior. I mean, what was sort of the process in getting yourself to Spire after your years at South?
The process was really just figuring out which place was right for me to go, because like I had a lot of options for prep school. Like I had Orangeville Prep, Linkier, Huntington, a lot of those schools out north in that area. So it was like I had to figure out what was going to help me get better for college and prepare me for my future and going to Kent State. So it was like I just had to figure out like who wanted the best for me also. Like Coach Craig, he really likes, he wants to develop his players. And I feel like ever since I've been at Spire, I've developed a lot.
And so staying on Spire, Donovan, tell us a little bit about it, right? We know, some of us know what Spire is, and there's a lot of people in our audience that are going to watch or listen to this and might not know what Spire is, let alone that it's in Ohio, up in Geneva. What is it like at Spire? And you know, how different is it from your typical high school that you went through?
Well, at your typical high school, at my old high school, Westerville Central, we had about 1,500 kids, 8 classes, different teachers every day. So it's like, it's a lot. At Spire, we got a secluded area away from everybody around Cleveland. We're in Geneva, like really, really far up north by the lake. So it's a secluded area with a really, really nice facility. And it's like at least 40 kids there that go there. So it's almost like we get the focus of school. We don't even have to worry about anything. We got 3 classes a day and no distractions. So it's like we stay strong. It's like the difference is just, the distractions. There's less distractions. So you can focus on what you need to do. That's really the difference.
And you guys are headed by a coaching staff, obviously led by Coach Craig. I mean, what has he meant to you in the time that you've been able to make the transition to Spire and develop under his wing?
What did you say? I can't hear you. What did you say again?
Oh, I was asking about Coach Craig. Obviously, he's the leader of the coaching staff. He helps you guys. He's helping you guys develop as you guys join Spire and are able to grow with him. How has he been to you guys during this process, especially for when you first joined?
Coach Craig, I'm not gonna lie, he's one of the best coaches that I've ever had. He was a college coach, I'm pretty sure, for like 18 years. I know he was at Stetson. And so yeah, I mean, he's really like, he's a good coach. He helps, he's a pusher, but he also knows when to when to help you grow instead of like forcing, because some people just don't know how to like let off the gas and go on the gas. So it's like he's an equilibrium of knowing, he knows what to do is basically what I'm trying to say. He's a really good coach. I really like him.
Well, it always helps when you have a coach that you like, but when you're making a decision to play at the next level, you have to like a lot of things. And so, Donovan, you are committed to play at a school here in Northeast Ohio, that being Kent State, where you'll be a part of the men's basketball team. Why did you choose Kent State? What went into that? And, you know, how excited are you to be a part of the Kent State program and a team that is off to a phenomenal start this year at 8-3?
Kent State, when I visited, I really wasn't expecting too much. I didn't really know what to expect, honestly. And I went on the campus. It was a beautiful, beautiful campus. The gym is super nice. I love it there. And the energy, I could just feel this was for me. Coach Cindy, he's a great, genuine person. He's a great coach. And I've sat there in practice. He don't play around. Coach Sully, he's a great coach. All the assistants, they're great coaches. And it's like, I know what happens when you get to college. They'll show you all the glitz and glam, but like, I talked to the players too. They even said that's how Coach Cindy is. That's how Coach Sully is. Like, it's really real how it is up there. And it's just, I want to major in some type of mechanical engineering too. And they have one of the top engineering programs and top like architectural programs. Yeah, that's what I liked about Kent.
Now, Donovan, we did do a little bit of research before this interview today. We actually found, I believe, is your account on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, VH614_. Is that correct?
That's me.
I wanted to look on here. You do have your name on there as well, and it's listed Donovan LeBron Hunter. Now, is that just something you put on there, or is that actually a part of your name?
No, that's actually my middle name. My little brother, my older brother named me when I was born. He gave my middle name. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's cool, man.
All right.
Go ahead,
I
Mitch.
was going to say that's awesome. And so going off that question, Mitch, Donovan, since we are going to be more familiar with you after this interview and we're going to see you play at the next level, and everybody that knows basketball knows who LeBron James is, what type of player are you when it comes to basketball? And, is there a player that you've looked up to your entire life that you try to model your game after or take bits and pieces from?
I feel like I play like I'm a big guard, what people will call, but I can also go rebound. I can go get 8 to 10 rebounds a game. I have great vision. Like I could really pass the ball, but yeah. And I model my game after Jason Tatum. That's really my favorite player. And I noticed that I played like him when I was at the rec one time, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, he just started calling me Jason Tatum with some joking stuff." I really didn't know who that was at first. So I started watching this film. I was like, "Oh, this dude is good." So then I started modeling this step back, doing this long cross step back, and I was like, "Yeah, I like that." So I just started modeling my game after Jason Tatum. And I really like Paul George and Kevin Durant. I feel like if I was to compare myself to any three players, it would be Jason Tatum, KD, Paul George.
Well, Donovan, as you enter the Kent State program next year, which I might add, as a former alumni, I hope you guys the best as well. Has there been a way in which you see yourself going into the program as like, okay, this is like my specific, positions I played in the past or the way I usually play my game? Or is it more so you just kind of joining the program and finding whatever place it is that they really want you to centralize on?
I'm coming into Kent State planning on being one of the more focal points of the team. If I'm not averaging 10 to 12 or more points, I'm going to get to 8 to 10 rebounds a game. I'm going to be playing really good defense because that's really all. I love to play defense. I like to play defense. Like, it's really something I really love to do because I don't like letting people score me. And like, I know I'm not a selfish player. So if I don't got the open shot, I'm gonna pass it, knowing it's gonna come back to me eventually. So I feel like just me playing the way I'm gonna play, we're gonna win a lot of the games next year. And just planning on being a focal player.
It's not often you hear somebody say how much they take pride in playing defense, and I'm sure that's something college coaches loved when recruiting you. But something else I wanted to talk about is you were a multi-sport athlete. And so you obviously chose to go the basketball route, but talk to us a little bit about football growing up, because you were a very talented football player based off some of the information I got from Spire. And so why was it football, or why was it basketball over football?
Well, basically I got an offer to Kentucky my 7th grade year playing football. And then going into my 8th grade year, like second, third game of the season, I tore my ACL, but I still played on it, but then I went and got surgery. And after the surgery, I grew like 5 inches. So I was super weak, like, because I was too skinny, too long. So I didn't really want to get hurt again. So then I started playing basketball, training every day. My dad taking me to training, all that. GD, what's his name? Dobo? I forget his name. Mike Thornton. Mike Thornton was the one that helped me really get into being a good basketball player. That's really where it started, after I tore my ACL. And then, so I just feel like I grew too fast, honestly, and I didn't want to get hurt again. So basketball was the way to go.
That makes sense. And so now staying on basketball, and, obviously we hope some people get to know you here, and obviously we hope a lot of people get to know you at Kent State, but staying with you personally, what was, besides having to mesh with a bunch of new teammates, when you went to Spire, what was the hardest part about that?
I feel like the hardest part about Spire was honestly just being far away from home, figuring out how to push myself when I don't feel like pushing myself, which I figured it out, because it really is, I had to figure it out. I had no choice not to. So that was really the hardest part, just being away from home, honestly. Just when you're a kid, me being a kid, you're going to miss home. And I knew that going in too. I was like, and you just got to push through it. That's honestly what I had to do.
And we're going to keep tabs on you and your team the rest of the way. But looking ahead now, after coming out of the holiday break for your basketball team, what are some matchups that you're excited for? And, how do you guys plan to, really come out of the holiday break and get things rolling?
Really, the one game I'm looking forward to is Keystone Prep. We were supposed to play them in the beginning of the season, but they backed out, or I don't know what happened, honestly. But I'm really looking forward to playing that game because they got Delquan Warren. They got a couple other big players that I know of. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game. I feel like we should go undefeated for the rest of the season, knowing we got to still play Oak Hill, La Lemire. We got a couple of the big teams we got to play. So I feel like we should go undefeated for the rest of the season if we stay focused and keep working.
And if you guys do go undefeated, I'm sure we'll be reaching out to have you back on, some of your teammates, as well as Coach Craig. Donovan, the last question I have is, since you're a basketball player and since you are from Ohio, who is the greatest basketball player of all time?
The greatest basketball player of all time is Jordan. I mean, not Jordan, my bad. I mean LeBron James. This is definitely LeBron James. But I feel like it's just two different eras. So like LeBron, he would have did the same thing back then. But I don't think Jordan would have did the same thing now. It's just a different level of skill that it takes back then and now.
Right. That's a great answer. That's the answer I was hoping for. I mean, now you got a ticket to come back on here, as the season keeps going. One thing I do want to ask that we're going to be looking to talk to somebody at Spire about is, it was brought to my attention, this is the first year they've had a girls basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
So what has that been like, being there as a new team, a new program starts up on the campus of Spire? Has it been exciting? Has it gives you guys something else to go watch? And are you guys supportive of each other when you guys aren't playing on game days?
Yeah, they're cool. It's really like a normal high school. I mean, they go play. We haven't really been able to go to a couple other games because usually when they play home, we're away. So it's like, and they're good too. Like they had a lot of struggles in the beginning, but they really picked it up. And I heard they beat IMG's A team. They're actually really good. And yeah, it's really just like normal. They're cool. They're all cool. I love talking to them every day. They're funny. So yeah, I like this regular.
Donovan, we thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And obviously, best of luck to you and all your endeavors, and best of luck to Spire for the rest of the year.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's Donovan Hunter on the Big Time Sports podcast show. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey there, folks. This is Mitch Spinell, and I want to give you guys a quick message regarding 988. If you don't know what 988 is, it was created to make it easier to remember how to get help in the event of a mental health or addiction crisis. This is different than a medical, fire, or police emergency where 911 should still be called immediately. 988 connects you with Stark County's Crisis Center, which is equipped to help people in emotional distress or experiencing a mental health or addiction crisis. So remember, 911 for medical, fire, and police emergency help, and 988 for support in overcoming a mental health crisis in Stark County.
The Furby Electric Supply Company has bright ideas for your home. Save money by converting to energy-efficient electrical products or add ambiance with beautiful lighting features. It begins with a professional consultation and a visit to the Furby Lighting Showroom. Then certified Furby contractors complete your project right and on time. Since 1934, 4 generations have built a reputation of quality and trust, and they offer emergency services too. Just visit Furby.com. That's F-U-R-B-A-Y. The Furby Electric Supply Company.
You asked for it and we listened. Buckeye Career Center is now offering Certified Nail Technician as an adult education program. This 216-hour course begins in November and will run Tuesday through Thursday evenings from 5 to 9 p.m. Learn manicures, pedicures, infection control, salon operations, and more. Other part-time certification courses starting this fall include phlebotomy and welding. Call 330-339-2288 to register or visit BuckeyeCareerCenter.org for more information.
If you're looking for a new or pre-owned car or truck, why not see the Parkway Auto Group? Parkway is a special group of automotive experts with 8 brands to satisfy your needs. Come see the difference at the Parkway Auto Group on Commercial Parkway in Dover. 8 brands and 1 family. It's Parkway Auto Group. It takes a lot of practice to have a winning team. Albin Title has over 100 years of combined experience handling real estate, title, and escrow transactions. They serve Tuscarawas, Stark, Carroll, Harrison counties, and more. So choose Albin Title for your next home refinance, sale, or purchase. They'll get it done quickly and professionally. Contact Albin Title at 330-334-5800 or visit their website albintitle.com. Let them put their experience to work for you.
Fall is in the air and part-time career enhancement courses at Buckeye Career Center are on the horizon. Registration is now open for Introduction to Beekeeping, Basic Small Engine Repair, and Sign Language. These part-time offerings run on Tuesday evenings and begin in November. Let Buckeye Career Center help you learn a new skill or advance your current skill set. Call 330-339-2288 for more information or to reserve your seat in one of these or our other part-time classes.
You matter. Everyone plays a part. We all have a role. Each of us can make a difference. You do matter, and the best way to have a positive impact is to pay it forward. With each of us helping one another to cope, feel better, and know that we belong. Pass on the positivity today. Tell someone else they matter too. Alt Care.
Alt Care, Alt Care. Where you matter.
Back here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show, it's Mitch Spinell alongside Mitchell Balla. Now, this is our NFL segment, but before we get into our Week 16 pick'ems, we do want to address the sad news that came out earlier this morning. It was reported, I believe by his family himself, that Hall of Fame running back Franco Harris has passed away at the age of 72. Look, Mitch, we are not Steelers fans by any measurement. That being said, we can sit here and say that the Steelers franchise, along with many of their very historic and very successful players, Franco Harris was certainly one of them, if not maybe the most notable of them, because not only was he a Hall of Fame running back, not only did he spend most of his career in Pittsburgh, not only at the time of his retirement was third on the all-time rushing list, and I think he's now 15th, but he is known, and it's idolized. I saw it idolized last week in the Pittsburgh airport. He is idolized for one of the great in-game moments in NFL history, the Immaculate Reception.
And how ironic is it that this weekend is the standalone night game on Saturday, Christmas Eve, the Raiders at the Steelers, a 40th year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. 50th year, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
50th year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, which it happened against the Raiders. And Mitch, I don't know. I'm sure you remember it, and I'm sure there's viewers out there. Do you remember the show Sports Science that used to be on ESPN?
I do remember Sports Science, and apparently that's okay. I'm sorry. I was going to say they just announced they'll bring it back, but not on ESPN. Sorry, go ahead.
I still remember the episode where they actually did the Immaculate Reception, trying to recreate it, and they deemed it almost impossible. That where Franco Harris was at the time of the play taking place, you cannot recreate that play. It is going to be one in a lifetime and one in probably NFL history that we are going to see. And it's obviously one of the most iconic plays that we know in NFL history. And so Franco Harris is much more than just that play, but just the magnitude of that play helps when you talk about Franco Harris, who is one of the all-time greats, who is a Hall of Famer, and who will be dearly missed, passing away at the age of 72 earlier this morning as we record this podcast. But I'm sure that there is going to be a very nice tribute for him on Saturday night in Pittsburgh. I think there was probably going to be one regardless because of the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. But now you talk about already paying ode to that, and with Franco Harris passing away, just days before the game, it'll be something to keep our eyes on, and something that I imagine is going to be very, very emotional for Pittsburgh players, fans of the organization, but also just something very cool to get to witness as a football fan in general.
Yeah, I looked up I tried to look up the Sports Science Immaculate Reception video, and now all I'm seeing is just videos, not just of the reception itself, but it's also like, have you seen this new angle of the reception, and then new footage and all this, and then there's one of Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris on Fox NFL they're recreating it. So that'll be a rabbit hole that I'll be going down here this afternoon. But for now, we want to start off back in the NFL, and it's time for Week 16, Mitch. 3 games remaining, I believe, and we're getting down to more and more of the wire. And we start off on Thursday night this week, where it's okay. This doesn't.
Before you go any further, because I was the same. I know what you're going to say here. It's the Jags and the Jets. These are not, they put this game this late in the season probably because these are supposed to be bad teams. Look at how many of the games we expected to be good this year are awful.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And this week is going to be even worse than what we were talking about last week, because we'll get to them in a little bit. But that being said, I was going to say at first I was going to say, oh, it's the matchup of the week, that joke that I frequently do. But these teams are not out of the race yet. These teams are not awful. These teams are just not eye-popping on paper. But you have the Jaguars and the Jets facing off. The Jaguars are one of the hotter teams in the league right now because they've won against Tennessee in Tennessee. They just won against the Cowboys last week, and they're still alive. If they win out, Mitch, they take the AFC South and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, but not only that, this is just a huge game for the Jags as well because they're still alive in the wild card hunt, Mitch. Not only that, the Jets are 7-7, the Jags 6-8. Both teams still alive for a wild card spot. Obviously, the Jags alive for the division. The loser of this game, though, Mitch, takes a massive blow to their playoff hopes because they will hold the tiebreaker over the losing team, whoever wins this game, because they are right now neck and neck. And the only reason the Jets are ahead of the Jags is because of the 7-7 to 6-8 record. If the Jags beat the Jets, Mitch, I think you can kiss the Jets playoff chances goodbye because the tiebreakers they're going to have to get just does not seem very likely in that case. And if the Jets win, the Jags playoff hopes take a massive hit in both the wild card and the division because then the Titans would just need to win, I believe, 2 of the last 3 or just beat the Jaguars straight up, which they still have 1 game remaining.
Jaguars definitely need to win this more than the Jets do, even though the Jets do have 2 tough games at the end of the year against Seattle and Miami. This one is an even matchup going into tonight or Thursday, excuse me. And it is a toss up. I'm just going to say Jaguars because they're on the right track right now. Zach Wilson's going to start again, and Zach Wilson didn't look bad. He didn't look bad, but Mike White's going to be out again. Joe Flacco's not going to come in probably. I'm going to take Jacksonville just to be safe for myself.
Yeah, you said Zach Wilson starting, so I'm taking Jacksonville as well.
Yeah, so let's go over to Saturday now. Saturday is one of the busier days, busier Saturdays of the year because it's Christmas Eve, and we have a couple afternoon matchups starting off with the Bills and the Bears. The Bills are 9-point favorites, and it's at even though it's at Soldier Field. You know what? This feels like a trap game to me. I don't know why it does. Does it feel like a trap game to you, or does it feel like, oh, the Bills got that win against Miami to clinch the playoffs? Let's take it easy this week, and it's going to be cold. It's going to be 14 degrees in Chicago. I don't know, man. I could see Justin Fields maybe pulling off this victory that's like it salvages something for the Bears season, which otherwise hasn't been great.
Mitch, you are onto something, sir. This does have the makeups of a trap game because the Bills play the Bengals next week. And that is a massive game, not only obviously for playoff positioning, but both these teams have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs for the top seed. Next week's game between the Bills and Bengals could very well be who is the number 1 seed in the AFC. This has all the makings of a trap game. This is all the makings of a team looking ahead. If I was betting this, I would definitely take the points with Chicago. You know what? I'll do it. I don't care.
Wow. Okay. So I convinced you. Okay. So I can imagine the 2 other guys that we have in our Excel sheet right now for games. They're going to be looking at it like, what are these 2 on right now? But I'm sticking with that. I'm going to say Bears over Bills, but I could be very, very wrong. And then this one, Texans at the Titans. Titans, I think, just exercise all their demons out on the Texans, even though they've really been struggling. Tennessee's only 4 points. I mean, give credit to the Texans. They've been playing well against the likes of Dallas last week. And then, of course, this past week, they almost beat the Chiefs. I think Tennessee gets this one, though, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
I agree. Derrick Henry owns the Texans. That's all I need to know. Derrick Henry's playing. I'm taking the Titans.
I'm a little surprised this is a 10-point game, but at the same time, I'm also not. Chiefs against the Seahawks at Arrowhead. Seahawks have kind of been reeling as of late. They've lost, oh my goodness, 4 out of their last 5. But then the Chiefs are still kind of rolling in there. I'm going to say Chiefs. I'll take those points. And yeah, it's gonna be a cold one in Kansas City. I don't know if Seattle. I mean, I'm sure both teams will be struggling out there.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs. This to me is easy one. The Seahawks are a team that fell off, Mitch. This is a team that I think is going to just kind of try to tread water the rest of the way, and I don't think they'll be able to.
Giants and Vikings. Vikings coming off the amazing comeback. Giants coming off an impressive Sunday night game against Washington. Minnesota 4-point favorites going in. Again, this might also I wonder if this kind of feels like a trap too, because if the Giants got their footing back after last week, then maybe they could be that NFC East team that sneaks in alongside Philadelphia and Dallas. Not to say Washington's completely out either, but I'm going to say Minnesota just to be safe.
Yep, same here. I'm taking the Vikings.
And I think I'm going to do the same thing for the next game. Bengals against the Patriots. This is only a 3-point favorite, which is surprising to me right now. This game is going to be in New England, so that's part of it. But at the same time, Bengals have been rolling as of late.
And they're not stopping. They're going to roll this one too. I think it's close because you see what Bill Belichick can do against top players and how they scheme defensively. I just don't see how they have enough firepower to keep up with Cincinnati.
Now, I'm not I didn't check before this podcast to see if they were the favorites last week, but it's very rare to see a Detroit Lions favorite in this game going up against the Carolina Panthers. They were not. So this is a rare instance. It might have happened early in the year, though. I'm not sure. In Charlotte, the Panthers are 5-9. Lions are at 7-7. It's really hard for me not to keep taking Detroit, man, but I'm doing it. I'm going to take these Lions again. And if they let me down this time, then, I don't even want them to sniff the playoffs.
They're not going to let you down. They're going to bite off a kneecap again. Dan Campbell has this team rolling right now. They're going to go into Carolina and win. Give me the Lions.
So the Lions right now are what? They're 9th in the standings at 7-7. And Seattle would win a tiebreaker on win percentage. But if Seattle loses this week and Detroit wins this week, and we see Washington does here later on, then we could be seeing Detroit in a playoff position here by the end of Sunday. So then we go over now to Falcons and Ravens. This is kind of a wash game. Baltimore really needs to win this one, and they're 7.5-point favorites. I think they will win, but they really need to get it done, or else they're going to be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens here. And Mitch, if they lose this game, this is going to be a replica from last year where they started off very well. Lamar Jackson got hurt and the season just fell out from beneath them. And you're right. If there's anybody that has a must-win game this week in week 16, it is the Baltimore Ravens.
So then we have Commanders against the 49ers at 405. San Francisco at 7-point favorites. San Francisco, I've said it before, this team is extremely dangerous in the NFC going into the playoffs, and I think I'm going to take this one. I could see Commanders keeping it a little close, but at the same time, 49ers got it rolling.
I just wonder how that loss affects Washington after last week. I'm not sure they are going to rebound from it, and I'm going to take the 49ers here.
All right, so then Eagles and the Cowboys. This is a matchup in which if Philadelphia wins, I believe they clinch the NFC East. Philly just keeps doing it. Cowboys are the favorites going in right now at home. Tough loss to the Jaguars in Jacksonville. And an earlier matchup this year, the Eagles took it, if I'm not mistaken, 26-17.
That was a Cooper Rush game for Dallas. And now Dallas gets to play Philadelphia with their backup quarterback because it looks like Jalen Hurts will be out this weekend.
That's interesting. That's also probably why it's 4.5 for Dallas right now. This one I can see Dallas maybe sneaking by. Not a blowout, but it could be one where I'm like, you know what? Philadelphia drops another one late in the year. That gets them in the mentally right place to go and make a playoff run. So I'm going to take Dallas.
I'm going to stick with the Eagles. I like a little Minshew mania. Gardner Minshew is the backup in Philadelphia. I think he can come in and play well. I also think that Dallas was looking ahead last week to Jacksonville, or through Jacksonville to Philadelphia. And that loss crushed them. And Mike McCarthy's the head coach. This is a massive game for them and their playoff hopes and division hopes. So naturally, I'm going to go away from Mike McCarthy.
So then I just had to type something in here really quick. So then we go over now to we mentioned this game before, Raiders and the Steelers, both teams at 6-8, Pittsburgh 2.5-point favorites. It could just be easy for us to say, oh, the Steelers will play inspired because of Franco and then they'll win the game. But it's going to be a close one. Looking at the injured lists right now, Kenny Pickett looks like he might be able to come back this week, according to reports, still listed questionable as of Tuesday. Najee Harris on the questionable, Deontay Johnson on the questionable. I don't know. This is a tough one. By the way, the Raiders, I don't know if I think we talked about the last podcast, got that crazy win over the Patriots this past Sunday. I will say Raiders, but it's a toss up.
I was expecting you to go Steelers, but I'm also taking the Raiders here. But I do think that I'm not going to be stunned if the Steelers win this. And as I sit on it here for a couple days, I might end up texting you saying, "Hey, I'm switching to the Steelers." I don't know. As it stands right now, give me the Raiders.
All right. So then on Christmas Day, we have 3 games on the slate, and these 3 games looked much better at the start of the year than they are now. The best one is probably going to be Packers and Dolphins. Packers aren't completely out of it yet. Dolphins still have a legitimate chance. Dolphins are at 4 points at home. And yeah, I feel like the Dolphins would take this. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers will be, I don't know if he can guide them this late in the year. I mean, he has before, but I could just see Dolphins taking this one and it being like a 10-point game.
Give me the Packers. Just let's do it. Let's have some
All right.
fun. Yeah.
All right.
Aaron Rodgers won on Christmas last year. He's going to win on Christmas again this year because a opposing quarterback that's short and undersized is probably going to throw the ball to the other team 3 or 4 times.
Both these teams are 4-10 going in. The Broncos and the Rams in LA. I mean, and Denver's a 2.5-point favorite right now. Can we pick neither of them? I don't.
You can go with you hope both teams have fun.
I could say that. I do hope all 32 teams have fun
And
this week, but 31 of them, I guess. But I guess Broncos. I guess this is another toss-up for me.
yeah, it's a very good defense against Baker Mayfield. I think we know how that goes, Mitch.
Who knows? Buccaneers against the Cardinals. Cardinals officially eliminated, and Colt McCoy sustained an injury this past Sunday. So then we had Trace McSorley come in. I don't recall if his status for this week has been affected, but either way, I think Tampa Bay really would have to win this one, or else it's in the bag.
I mean, like I'm picking Tampa. If they lose this, though, Goodell needs to step in and say no team from the NFC South gets to go to the playoffs this year. If Tom Brady loses to Trace McSorley this week, it's over with. I've always said I will never bet against Tom Brady if he makes the playoffs, but if they lose to the Cardinals this week, I am betting against Tom Brady in the first round of the playoffs for the Bucs win the division.
Imagine if
awful.
Imagine if what would be a 7-10 team gets into these playoffs and wins the division. That'd just be a very fascinating
and host a playoff game.
Yeah. It's the way it works, man. It's the way the world works. And then on Monday night, we have Chargers against the Colts, and the development that just came this morning. The Colts are not going to start Matt Ryan this week. They're going to be starting third stringer Nick Foles, coming back in for another round of what's sure to be at least memorable football, if not the best. So Chargers, it's got to be Chargers, and I don't think it's going to be particularly a close one. Then again, we saw a team blow a 33-point lead, so anything's possible, I guess.
4.5 points. Yeah, Chargers. But I just really hope that Nick Foles can come off the bench and feed the ball to Michael Pittman, and then also hand the ball off to Zach Moss, because I'm in a world of hurt in fantasy football this week, folks.
Yeah.
If I lose, I have the punishment, and I don't even want to think about going down that road.
What standing are you in right now? Because I did see something on, I believe, was Facebook, and it was regarding fantasy that you might be in trouble.
Yeah, I did finish last place in the regular season. I went 2-12. I won worst team of the year in our fantasy football awards, as well as worst GM of the year, losing 5 of my first 9-round picks to injury. And then that did not include Cam Akers, who was also in the top 9 rounds for me. And if I lose this week, I am the official loser of the consolation bracket, and I have a punishment. And I don't know what's a bigger slap in the face, the fact that I've missed the playoffs now for 2 years in a row, or the fact that I am the worst team in the league that I run as commissioner.
The commissioner. Also, you don't get punished for regular season standings.
We do it off the final, the last 4 that don't make the playoffs. It's a 12-team league. You play each other, because sometimes there was one conference this year that 5 of the 6 made the playoffs, and I was the team that didn't. So my conference was loaded. Now, granted, my team's still the worst in the league because I scored the least amount of points, but it's I should get a chance to get out of that, because I've had to play those guys twice. You know what I mean? So I played better teams than the other guys played. So, but here it is. I've actually played my neighbor. I tried to change the punishment to whoever loses this week has to move out of the neighborhood, but no, because they know that they're not going to lose to me. My team's so bad.
All right. Well, going back to our games, we have one final game here on the slate, and that is the game I believe is going to be right here in Cleveland. We have the Browns hosting the New Orleans Saints. The Browns are at 6-8 following their win over the Ravens. New Orleans is at 5-9 after their win against Atlanta, so they're not out of the NFC South running just yet. But this is a game. It's only 2.5 points right now, and I believe that the Browns have the spread currently. I mean, look, Browns got a good win against Baltimore last week. That's what they needed to do. Now you're taking on a team that's arguably not as good. Still need to come out and perform. And I would feel more comfortable this week than I would have last week taking Browns. So I think I'm going to take Browns, but I'd like to hear your logic as to how the Browns would be able to mess something like this game up.
Oh, well, that's easy because they play a team from down south that plays in a dome. So therefore, everyone should be like, oh, they can't play in weather, which means they'll come out, probably complete some passes, run the ball more effectively than we do, and probably beat us. The Browns are the better team. I don't want to pick the Browns, but I'm going to because they're strictly the better team. Now, when I pick them against a team they're better than, we are 0-1 because I picked them against the Jets this year.
Yep.
I was bad. I also picked them against the Bengals where I was 1-0 because I picked the Bengals the second time. I mean, Mitch, this is going to be a classic winner game in Cleveland, Ohio. The bettors or the lines know it, the books know it. The over-under is set at 32. It's supposed to be 15 degrees at kickoff with winds up to 40 to 50 miles per hour. I'm going to go with the Browns just because they're used to this. Nick Chubb to me is a bigger bruising running back than Alvin Kamara. And I would think that Deshaun Watson with 2 years of rust, even after 3 games, is still better than Andy Dalton. And I swear, if a tight end goes in and takes a snap at quarterback for the Saints and beats us in Taysom Hill, everyone just should be fired, and players included. Just enough. Okay, enough. Everyone sat down, benched, cut, traded, fired. I don't care. If a tight end who doesn't play in cold weather takes snaps at quarterback and beats you passing the football, you're done.
Look, the Browns are the better team. If they lose this week, it'll be a very tough one, especially because that means very likely that their playoff chances have run out. Because I think it was right now 0.7% chance at this week, and it's not gonna be easy because there's a lot of guys that are on the IR right now. Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett both missed Tuesday practice. Chubb with an injury, Myles with sickness, but Joe Woods did say on Wednesday that Myles should be good to go for the game. And I don't expect a ton of players to be out this week, but it's going to be a colder game. It's going to be a later season matchup. It's going to be against a team that's coming off a victory. So I don't know. I hope the Browns do win this week, but at the same time, they may not be able to. What are your guys' predictions for week 16 of this NFL season? Be sure to comment that below or on our podcast platforms. When we come back, we go into our final segment. Stay tuned right after this.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
Hard work is something you're accustomed to. Van Nostrand Young understands that principle. Our access is achieved with organizations like Grange Insurance. Safety and prevention specialists utilize our VanCan assessments process to ensure that you and your colleagues are in the best hands. You want the safest environment for your business, and we can guide you there.
Call Van Nostra and Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-497-1867.
If you're purchasing a new home, the team at Hartzler's Quality Housing is here to help. Take advantage of record low interest rates to make your new home a reality. Locally owned and operated since 1978, Hartzler's Quality Housing has the experience to guide you through the process. You'll find a wide selection of model homes on site to fit any budget. Open 6 days a week just off I-77. You can also visit them online at hartzlers.com. Hartzler's Quality Housing. Quality from start to finish.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
And welcome you on back here to the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Our final segment here, Mitch Spinell and Mitchell Bala. Mitch, now we have one game this week from the Cavaliers since our last episode, I believe. That was their 122-99 kind of butt kicking of the Utah Jazz, in which the Cavs had 2 games prior against Dallas, and blanking on the second one being that would be, if I ever got the schedule right here, Dallas and Indiana. Those games were the ones where the Cavaliers really had to come back and fight to beat them close. This one, from beginning to end, the Cavaliers had dominance over Utah, a team that it was a very interesting matchup because obviously Donovan Mitchell's coming over there from the trade this past offseason, his first game against them since then. And the Cavaliers spread out the scoring. I believe all of their starters were in double figures scoring, led by Donovan Mitchell's 23 points. He also had Jared Allen, 20 points, 11 boards. Mitchell had 23 points, excuse me. Darius Garland had 17 points. And then Jetty Osman, 22 points off the bench. This might have been the Cavs' most complete game of the season so far, and it's against a capable West team that's kind of gotten on a slow start, but can still compete out there in the West.
Yeah, and really, Mitch, I was kind of assuming this would be a Donovan Mitchell revenge game. He's going to come out and try to fire away. He wants to drop 50 on his former team. You know, he was very vocal about how happy he was to be in Cleveland now over Utah because of some things off the court there, obviously. I was more impressed, though, that it wasn't that, if I'm being honest. As much as it's always fun to see a player get hot, I was impressed to see the Cleveland Cavaliers be able to divvy up the scoring, all starting 5 in double figures. Osman with 22 points off the bench, which is crazy to me because there was a game just last week that he was benched. And then he has 22 points in a night like this. Obviously, he's benched because he plays for a defensive coach and he refuses to play defense, but that's obviously not here nor there. But really, Mitch, I think my biggest takeaway is the fact that Kevin Love has been struggling so much.
Yeah.
And to me, if that's the least of our worries and the Cavs are on a win streak right now, then who cares? At the same time, I think Utah is coming back to reality. They started off so hot. Now, granted, they did not have Colin Sexton when they played us. Obviously, the former Cav that was, you know, the main piece in the trade to Utah for Donovan Mitchell, and as was Lauri Markkanen, OJ Abaji. I did not see him on the floor.
The only 2 guys for that night was Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson. But give Markkanen his press, man. This is a guy who started off the year hot, and unlike the Jazz, has continued that dominance. He's averaging almost 23 points per game right now, 8 rebounds per contest. Last year, Markkanen was kind of seen as this guy who can maybe be a starter, but also come off the bench and be like more of a post. And now he's looking at, I don't even know if it's borderline all-star. He'll probably make an all-star appearance this year.
Oh, he's not just an all-star, Mitch. I think if you had to name the all-NBA teams, I think he's probably all third NBA. I mean, he has been, and he's not even somebody like Donovan Mitchell, right? We talked about it. We knew Donovan was good. He played in Utah, though.
Yeah.
We weren't too familiar with him. Lowry played in Chicago. This is a team that we played, I believe you play them 4 or 5 times a year because they're in your division.
Yeah.
he never did what he was doing with us last year or with Utah now when he was in Chicago. So it's good to see a young player bloom like this. Obviously, I wish we still had him. I will gladly take Donovan Mitchell. But if we could have put a different package together, maybe kept Lowry, you wonder where this team would be. But it's awesome to see him doing well out there. I think Utah is coming back. And Mitch, so far, the Cavs have handled. Obviously, we know Dallas without 5 players. They handled Utah. And tonight is their big test. 2-point favorites at home against the Milwaukee Bucks, a team they've already played twice in Milwaukee this year. They've lost both meetings. This is a team that last year's Cavaliers team beat in Cleveland. Can they do it tonight? I believe this is the test so far to this point in the season. And then not just this one, Friday night when the Raptors come to town, and then next Monday, the day after Christmas against the Nets. If the Cavs can somehow get out of this 3-game stretch with 2 wins, awesome. Awesome. If you said, hey, they're only going to win 1 that was to Milwaukee or Brooklyn, I'll take it. If they go 0-3, I'm going to be disappointed. If they go 3-0, you're going to hear me on the episode next Wednesday pounding my chest on why we're going to win the East.
Yeah, 1 win would give you 22-13, which I'd be fine with. And then, of course, the Cavs right now, I believe, are only 2 games back of the Bucks and the Celtics. Actually, okay, 2 games back of the Bucks now for first in the East. They're 1.5 games back of Boston, who's a half game behind of the Bucks. So Cavs in a good position right now. I'll be at the game tonight. I'll be at the game Friday. I'll be keeping an eye on what how this team's performance and what they're able to do to overcome these good teams coming in. Although Milwaukee might have a big piece out tonight. Chris Middleton has been day-to-day with an injury as of last listing, but who knows what happened there. And, you're wishing the Cavs the best, obviously. So I want to end this show now with this post here. And this involves you because there might be some commentary on it. I was going through Facebook, I believe it was this morning, and I saw a post from one Chris Carter. He put up a picture of these very particular special sugary treats. Some people know them as like pastry cookies. Others know them as Loft House cookies. He said, quote, "These are the nastiest cookies to ever exist on earth." And then I see from 7 hours ago, Mitch Balla reposting that post and says, "Amen," with an exclamation point. Buddy, you and I need to have a serious conversation about your cookie prowess.
No, I think all that needs to happen, Mitch, is you need to come over and have some homemade cookies from my mother. I stand by what I said. In fact, this might be the strongest take I've ever had in my life. This is just a travesty to the entire cookie category. It is not a cookie. It is Play-Doh you're eating. It is not a good cookie. The frosting's terrible. The cookie itself is not good. I was sick and tired in elementary school when it was someone's birthday, and this is what they came in with.
Yeah, I'm showing the screen as we speak. Look at these are the cookies that I'm showing the people, and I'll get us back on real quick. So that's no.
It's a strong take. I stand by it, and if anybody doesn't agree with it, let me know. We can set up a time, and I will give you some homemade cookies for my mother, and you'll understand why I am not a store-bought cookie guy.
Okay, that's okay. Store-bought. You don't think my own mother is not making cookies this holiday season? She's the one that has like the cookies where you put the little mini Reese cup in the thing. It has a ring around it. Those are good. You have the Ritz peanut butter sandwich cracker ones where they dip them in that chocolate. They have, we got my grandmother's pizzelles, which is those little flat things that are amazing. But you're going to sit here and tell me that these cookies are garbage. You're absolutely out of your mind. You're absolutely out of your mind. I'm going to show you how good they are. Look at that thing, man. You got the frosting on there. You got the sprinkles. That's really good.
So take it. Now close your fist with it in the palm of your hand and crush it and then throw it on the floor. Because that's where that cookie deserves to be.
I can't really crush it enough, but I took too much of a bite there. No, these are good cookies. You're out of your mind. This is why I look like, this is going to be great for our audio listeners, which, by the way, you can listen to the show on audio only on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube, our video as well. So you can see me doing, what is it called? What do the kids call it on here? A mukbang or whatever it is. That's going to be fun for our viewers. But of course, let me swallow here. Nope. Here we go. Okay. BigTimeSportsOhio.com. Be on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I'm losing my focus here. BTS Ohio on Twitter and Facebook, Big Time Sports Ohio on Facebook and Instagram. Mitch Spinell, Mitchell Balla, everywhere you go. Mitch, give me the fact of the day, and don't tell me that Lofthouse cookies suck, and that's the fact of the day.
That was going to be my fact of the day. I guess if you want another fact of the day, besides that one, that those cookies suck, it would be that elephants can't jump. So there's your fact of the day. Your other fact of the day is I'm just going to come out and say it, because by the time we record next week, I'm going to know if I won or lost in fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, if I do lose in fantasy football this week, the punishment is I have to make a dance on TikTok every day for 30 days straight. 1, I'm not a good dancer. 2, there are rules to it. I cannot be private. Like, my account must be public. Everybody must see it. I do have a statement typed up from the desk of my team already. If I am to lose, that's how I've actually typed it up 4 weeks ago. That's how confident I am that I'm not going to be able to win a game. So I'm just going to ask that if I do come in here on our episode next week, Mitch, that, maybe a little bit of privacy if I'm down, not in a good mood, even if it is a victory Tuesday, Monday, whenever we're recording. And if you want to see a 6'4" mid-20s guy embarrass himself, you'll have to find me on TikTok.
Your punishment should be that you should get a year's supply of these delicious cookies.
No.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening or watching to the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. This is why I should have got milk with these things.
Or just not ate them at all.
Yeah.